Tell me when you're
Okay, now say it.
What can art tell you about the values of the society within which it was created?
It can tell you about religion, for one.
How so?
Tell you about. Well, okay, so if you look at like medieval art, a lot of the work that was being created it's not in the way that we think of it now, is in terms of like individual expression and how.
Iconography? Or something
like
broader than that?
the art that we create now, it's made because we feel like it's this expression of individual emotions and things, and
which I don't necessarily agree with.
Right, and
Art
that's
for art's sake?
and you can argue that. But prior to probably the 1500s, or actually 1400s, before the Renaissance, like a lot of the art that was being made had a very distinct sort of ideological aim, and you could probably argue that for a lot of modernist work. But if you look at stuff that's made prior to the 1400s, before the Renaissance, actually during the Renaissance too, you can argue that it has this very like clear aim and purpose and goal for what it's being made for. So like if you look at medieval art, a lot of it's being made to appease like the papacy and Catholic and Western art specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of the art that was popular during like the Middle Ages was manuscripts and architecture. All this stuff was really made to like instill that whole emotional impact of religion and that sublime feeling of what's it like to be a Christian and all this stuff, right?
The transcendent.
Yeah. So if you look, like fucking Marco Polo, who went into the Mongol territory during like the 1400s, he comes back. He makes this manuscript of like, or actually he goes to jail when he comes back, right? When he comes back, somebody writes like all these stories about where he went, and they're used to sort of explain to the West what the East is like, and it really becomes like a way for the West to be comfortable with the fact that they are not really that the religious superior that they thought themselves to be. When the Mongols came in and sort of the 1300s, they took over, and Islam was Muslim territories. All these things were really becoming to.
That's where you get the Christianity of the martyr.
Right. Yeah, and like what we think of Christian territory, the Western Europe, and all these things, they were becoming so small that this West really became wanting of things to like be comfortable with the fact that they were being so small now. And so like Marco Polo, the way that he's talked about, it's like he's somebody who came in and he's his books, his manuscripts, they show, even though they're supposed to be historically accurate, they show like these monsters, it's like Cyclops, walking around, and they're like, this is what the East is like, and it's all these images that are meant to be comforting for these people that are really uncomfortable with the way that the whole world is going to them. So if you look at this, these images, it really explains like how we get these concepts of like the other, and like how influential religion and all these things are to people that are very kind of secluded in their own little world.
It's interesting.
That's brilliant.
I guess as like a current day American, I don't think of coping with inferiority complexes very often, like not on a cultural level, because clearly we're the superpower. And as much guilt as we can carry around about that, we can't actually imagine what it's like to be defeated at war.
Yeah.
Until that inevitably happens.
Vietnam.
Possibly within our lifetimes.
Vietnam.
It's not quite a defeat though. Like, because it wasn't on our territory.
I think they touched upon this in a fish called Wanda, and yes, it was.
Okay, the way we were defeated in Vietnam is not the same as being invaded, being overtaken. And like
being raped.
13th century Europe, that is the land that your grandfather plowed is no longer yours. That's a very different thing than what we experienced in Vietnam.
America has this real fetish with being invaded, which is shown in a lot of our media, especially video games. And
it makes sense because our cultural history, if you go back 300 years, is full of it. For the past 200 years, it's absolutely absent. And so, like, all of our literature and all our ancient art refers to that, but the modern stuff doesn't even touch on it because it hasn't happened. And we all feel that it's inevitable. And so, obviously, it's our, like, what would you call that? The fear that you dare not speak. Something you
Voldemort.
Jesus.
Nailed it.
Yes. You're more awesome than you know. Oh, why do I say this? I'm growing your ego. You're much less awesome than you think. Observe our
Hey, Fox.
relationship.
I gotta go grab it.
All right, Jonathan.
That's
Yeah.
hot.
Just tell us a story of the history of art, any story, and make it entertaining.
Okay.
Hey, baby, don't follow
which
people
one,
back
which
there,
one?
okay?
Oh, okay. So this is something that I found out about in this methods class that I took. I don't know what we were talking about.
Excuse me.
I think we were covering like feminist and queer theory. And
That's a theory?
queer theory?
It's queer theory?
Yes. There's a theory
before.
Well, if it's only a theory.
Gravity is only a theory,
It's a
bitch.
whole
Damn it, I said it.
evolution's only
movement
from
where
theory.
theory is.
Gravity is only a theory. is
So
what I
of course,
mean
if
to
it's
say.
only a theory,
Do
then
you
it hasn't been
understand
proven
what
yet.
the word theory means? Not mathematically, scientifically.
No, I'm making a joke
did say
here. I don't know how
theory.
serious I sound right now, but that's the joke. We're
Damn it.
Stop
Stop strong
breaking the balls
me
of
because I have no
creationism.
sense of humor and you know I'll take you up on it.
But you've never heard of queer theory before?
I've never heard of queer theory.
Interesting.
Is it-
Educate him.
Yes, please educate me on queer theory.
Well,
sounds so amazing.
there's a lot of similarities with feminist theory.
There's feminist theory?
Yes.
Yes.
Holy
Okay,
shit!
Something you asked me earlier, like what got me interested in feminism.
Mhm.
Really, gay theory and queer theory has so many similarities with feminist ideologies.
Well, it sounds like it's all
that
about
it's
gender.
almost like I have this giant vested interest in understanding that because if, as a gay man, if you understand, the history of feminism, then you understand yourself a lot, and you understand like the oppression and all these kind of issues of oppression that have faced gay men because all of these things are kind of similar.
Mhm.
Because we as gay men, you are kind of a gender deviant, and so if you look at feminist theory, it's applicable.
You exist outside the
Yeah.
controlling masculine, and so you have more in common with the feminine than you do the masculine.
Yes, exactly. And that's actually a big part of queer theory, positing that theory. But this little story that I
Go ahead.
heard about, we were talking about it because one of the things that queer theory talks about is how you can notice things about like specifically like visual culture and art objects, things that are really kind of gay and homoerotic, and like we were talking about how in this guy, his name is Jerome, he painted this picture of an African American French soldier who was in this very like traditional white Western
I'm gonna
like
nitpick. He's African American and French.
Hispanic.
He might have been Caribbean, but he was of a
Of African descent
Yes.
and also Central American descent, but of French nationality.
What are you doing?
Is
not
that
Central
like
American. He was.
Caribbean is-
Carrie, you're like the AT&T of people.
I'm trying to remember who he was. I know he was probably
Look at
like
that. Why are you so
Hispanic.
mean to me?
I think what he was a Caribbean like French lieutenant. So he was from the Caribbean, but he
Okay,
just
so
went
there's
into the French
definitely
army.
like African lineage and possibly
Yeah,
some
yeah.
Native American lineage as well.
But he just happened to go into the French army, and
Okay.
this painter, this really neoclassicist painter, Jerome, he painted him, and a lot of the Western art historians talked about how you have this black man and he's painted in this very regal kind of French style. He has that uniform, but almost really none of them really talked about was the fact that if you looked at his pants, if you look at this area, you could see this enormous like erection
Interesting.
And no one had
we
had
haven't talked
about
about the codpiece since the Middle Ages.
Yeah, to be
so-
fair, like with like old royal pieces, you would always have the guys with their codpiece, which would simulate a huge
like
raging
fucking
erection.
grapefruit in the pants.
But with this guy, you could see like the silhouette of his penis.
Okay, so it wasn't codpiece. It was like actual.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we're there, you know, in
Every
class.
made Eric uncomfortable.
So we're there in the class, and our professor's like, okay, so what do you guys think? This is kind of weird, and everybody's just kind of like it was really awkward because it's, you know we can see this black man's just giant like erection.
This art class needs
Cock is
Professor
bigger than
Chong.
ours and it intimidates
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
What?
Stevens
And,
sexuality.
Oh.
and
Professor.
so what we were talking about was how kind of queer theory tries to kind of go back through history and salvage the stuff that hasn't really been talked about and what are these homoerotic tones that have entered into this painting.
Right.
Anything by Michelangelo.
Shit, yes.
You know what?
No idea what tits look like.
And how does this like
No, it's women or men with like awkward protuberances over their pecs.
All right, moving on from Michelangelo. This is a story for another day.
I forgot my train of thought.
God
but-
damn it, Carrie.
But
Oh wait, that was you.
This-
That was you.
Plain
So-
Jane.
Credit for my.
Bullshit.
This is
Yeah.
a funny story that that we heard that day was that we were talking about really queer theory tries to like if you look at things, if you really try and look at these things you'll find them, and so our professor she pointed out that there was this art historian a few years ago who started looking through all this really huge timeline of like paintings and things that were being done from like all the antiquity from like Greek, well actually what was it
I'd say Greek or Egyptian or some sort of culture would be pretty well.
It was more
Based.
like Renaissance, really
Okay.
Renaissance Baroque paintings
Oh,
that had depicted
right.
baby Jesus.
Like within the Baroque period.
Yeah, within.
Homosexuality starts to be taboo.
Well, no, this other guy he'd looked at all these paintings of baby Jesus and he noticed that so many of them had baby Jesus. He had like an erection in most of these paintings. In a lot
Wait,
of them.
really? Shit?
Yeah.
What the
so
fuck?
just noticing like all these things,
Interesting.
How come I don't
The
see these around
concept of
Christmas?
Masculinity are so linked to the penis.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it was his theory was that if you paint baby Jesus with an erection, then you are directly associating Jesus with this idea of masculinity and the whole religion with that idea.
I am nominating if
Okay.
you paint baby Jesus with an erection as my favorite clause B.
Okay.
Oh, well, what about female duck penises?
It actually just beat it, sorry.
God damn it, I gotta think something
my
about
mom was telling me about reading about how Jesus was actually really feminine in the way he'd sit down and like talk with his people
it. For back in the day, he
instead
was.
of like being
And-
preaching at them.
Yeah.
Wash the feet, and
Yeah.
yes, extremely.
So and that being just
Jesus was
like
genderqueer by Greek standards, absolutely.
that sounds right.
Back to your story about the baby Jesus with an erection.
Queer theory.
Yeah, his theory was really his argument was that in these early stages of Christianity, were actually it wasn't really early because it was like 1400s, but if you had people who really wanted sort of your savior to be identified with this idea of being masculine and being sort of a leader, and so what is more masculine and what is more kind of leader-ish than a full-on erection. And he just, kind of pointed out all these paintings, and you see in these paintings just little baby Jesus with a tiny little erection. And that is what queer theory can do for you. That's an example of
I have
Kind of an
changed
argument.
Minnie a little boy diaper, and I have to say, there is nothing quite as horrifying as a tiny erection.
My next Google search will be baby Jesus erection.
You'll get put on some kind of watch list.
It's Christmas.
That's
Surely people can understand the Christmas spirit, no
That's
matter
why
how
you don't get both the
homoerotic.
Cartoon Network and the porn channel at the same time.
Oh, you must have read that on the internet.
Drew Carey.
Yep. Oh, speaking of which, you know my friend Drew?
I don't remember.
No, I have a friend named Drew. You might know her roommate.
Yeah, she was last time we were here.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. I want you
Was she
guys
the one
to.
who was kind of in my lap and adorably playing with my hair?
Yes, most likely. I don't know who.
Did this
I don't know if she
happen on
actually did that.
Sunday?
I don't know. No.
No, not that time.
I don't know if
Time
she
we talked
actually
about
did that,
before
but it's the
that
sort
you
of thing
had here.
that she would do. I want you guys to
Or
have.
was in Merlot.
Yes, she was
The
there.
one my boyfriend got pissed about.
Really? Oh yeah, that's right. Because I said beer was beneath me. He takes things way too fucking serious.
He was just trying to be a good guy and give you a beer, and then you just shot him down.
My bad. I think he gets
Be
pissed when I
a pro.
like.
It depends
He
on
likes
the beer.
he likes giving things away, and I think I kind of destroyed that. So I'm going to become more accepting of the things he offers me now from now on. But no, I want you and Drew to have a lesbian relationship, so I can call your couple-ish thing Drew Carey. Like I give her enough shit
This
about.
is not reason enough to support it. Stop.
I give her enough shit.
Not the only reason.
that, like she shaped.
This combined with your love of
Have you
lesbian
ever
sex
wanted
is
a
not reason
threesome with
enough.
Drew Carey?
Yes.
No.
I would do that. I would say that so I could have sex. I had sex with Drew Carey. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
No, man, Drew and Carey. There's a bit of a difference.
But
You could be an awesome porn star team, though.
brilliant,
make a
Hannah.
whole
Give me more
franchise.
porn
A
ideas.
whole franchise. Drew Carey's sexcapades, I guess you'd call them, something like that.
All right, I'm sorry.